Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, your choice for the conservative voice. This is Carol Parisi, our founder, Jack Roser, and myself. We have Deb Gordils, and Deb Gordils is in the city.
Just a minute. I'm going to pick up where Deb left off, and I'm going to put a little factoid here so that people listening get some idea of what kind of a business enterprise the public schools of Illinois, and especially of Chicago. Now, the average cost of an education, public education in the state of Illinois, all up excepting the pensions, because that gets spread both sides, but the cost of an education runs $16,000. The average size of a class in the city of Chicago is about 30 kids. Do the arithmetic, that's $480,000 per classroom per year. How about them apples? $480,000, let's go in the business. The teacher is going to make somewhere in a range of $60,000 to $90,000 a year. That's a long ways from $480,000. So it isn't a teacher that's causing this outrage, but somehow the way it's run by the stinking Democrat Union, the IEA largely, and also those screaming fools you see in the streets, the AFT teachers rioting. How about those people teaching your schools? The cost is $480,000 per classroom. How do you get there? Boy, it takes massive waste politically in order to get that high. You got massive number of people that aren't doing any good for you. Across this state, you'll find that there's about 25 kids per classroom, but the number of teachers is one for about every 14 kids. How do you get from 14 kids to just 25 in the classroom? And plus that, there's administrators at every level, including the fancy suit-wearing superintendents that are making salaries of $180,000, $200,000, $250,000, $300,000, $350,000 a year. These idiots in a suit that are trying to tell us this is a good education and that we should pay even more taxes. That's what the nearly 900 superintendents in the state of Illinois are doing. They're making salaries, almost all of them, over $200,000 a year, and they've given a stinking lousy education, especially in Chicago. And I went to 3 grammar schools in Chicago. Only one of them was worth the powder to blow it up, and that was a Catholic school. I went for 3 years. But when I went to school, and I'm 90 years old, the schools were a hell of a lot better then than they are now.
Well, all this teacher union
They weren't
stuff.
good then.
Which Catholic school did you go to?
At St. Jerome's.
Oh,
St. Jerome?
St. Jerome.
Yes.
I know
That
St.
on Glenwood,
Jerome.
right?
Well,
It's in Rogers Park.
Rogers Park.
Yeah,
It's where I used to go to Mass with my grandma.
Good, tough school. When I went from a public school to St. Jerome's, they sent me back a year. They sent me back. And when I went from the Catholic school to finish off in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, I went to McPherson's on Lawrence Street. My father had gone there from a German family himself,
McPherson.
but they skipped me ahead. So
Where did you go to high school, Jack?
I started at Amundsen, which was so ridiculous easy. It was a goofy laugh that the school day lasted about 4 hours. It was a clown act start to
Over on
finish.
Damon and Foster.
Yep.
Then I went to Proviso, which was in Maywood, about 20% black and a lot of German and Italian immigrants. It was a much better school than the Chicago High School, brand new, that I went to in Winnemac Park. Was a nice place for it to be. But Proviso was a pretty decent school, but it was my great good luck to spend the last 2 years at Oak Park High in Oak Park. We were still
moved around a lot from St. Jerome
So at
to
least
Proviso.
4 schools could take claim to your leadership.
5. I went to I went
Five.
5. I went 3. No, 6. I went to 6 schools.
Wow.
3 high schools and 3 grammar schools.
You should come back and talk to them.
My
Give the
sister was
commencement
asked.
ceremony
I
speech.
wasn't always rich. I asked my sister, why do we move so much? She said, we moved every time the apartment walls needed painting. But my dad was trying to get started in a lumber business of millwork, and in the Depression. See, I'm so old. A lot of the years I'm talking about are in the 1930s, and things were pretty tough. So I lost my first little bank account of $50 when the bank it was in went busted, and my 5 and 10 cent pieces went with it. But the schools were not too good then. They're far worse now. And the cost of them is ballooned something awful.
Well, you know what? I think Deb, let me ask you a question. Being in the city of Chicago, do you work with school board races? Is that something you all are interested in too during an election cycle?
No, we completely are hands off the school board races. Local school council races are kind of determined by within the school community environment, which is really controlled by the alderman.
By the union.
The alderman controls the schools in his ward. He controls the development and the building and the businesses in his wards. And so there's a lot of power that goes with being the alderman in terms of calling the shots on administrators, and everybody is handpicked by the alderman. So it's impossible to get in there.
It's a political job.
So the alderman
Politicians are teaching our kids.
appointed? Is an alderman appointed or elected?
No, they're elected. They're elected.
Now, is that different than the committeemen?
Well, yeah. I mean, the aldermen are paid. I think they make, I want to say about $100,000 a year. Plus, they have TIF money that's $40,000 or more.
We're going to hear more from Deb Gordils about the belly of the beast when we come back after our break. Don't go away.